daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Daily Manchester United podcast. My name's Cormac and today is a Wildcard Wednesday. So I thought we would look at the what-ifs of United over the recent years and scenarios that might have changed the outlook of the club if these things have had happened. So the first one I'll start with is what if Fergie retired back in 2002? He'd come out that season prematurely and said he would retire at the end of the season. And he ultimately changed his mind, saying he regretted even making that public. And yeah, I mean, that's a huge what if. You know, that's right before we ended up bringing Ronaldo in. So right off the bat, you're looking at probably we're not getting Ronaldo. I know Arsenal were kind of in from at the time. So you might see Ronaldo going to Arsenal. And I mean, yeah, it would. I don't know who we would have even brought in back then. But I don't think you would have seen, you know, the success. It'd be hard to say because the team was still good, but you know, you're looking at missing out on, you know, some other players Fergie brought in after that, the likes, you know, Michael Carrick, Evra, Nemanja Vidic, you know, some key players during the 2010s and beyond. And yeah, you're probably maybe looking at, you know, that 08 Champions League win not happening, few Premier League titles not happening. It probably would have been a big adjustment, like we seen when Fergie retired in 2013, and you know the tragedy that really followed with Moyes and Van Gaal. So yeah, I think if he had retired back then, you know, it would have really derailed United's progress, and I think we would have missed out on a few titles. You know, maybe even the Champions League title in 2008, which, you know, it's so dear to our hearts as United fans. The second one is what if Ronaldo had stayed and didn't move to Real Madrid? You know, a world record fee at the time. And I think a big factor into why he left was that Champions League loss. But, you know, if we had kept him, I mean, I think you're looking at, you know, even more success. You know, 2010, I believe Chelsea won that season. I think we would have went on and done another one. You know, we brought in Berba around then, so you would have had, you know, an attack, the likes of, obviously we lost Tevez, but, you know, Ronaldo, Berba, Rooney, Nani, I mean, just a great attack. And yeah, I would have loved to see Ronaldo and Berbatov combined, but I think you would have seen, you know, even more success, definitely, if Ronaldo had stayed. He was, you know, around the best player, him and Messi, in the world at that time, you know, and we've seen how they kept going for years, battling each other for the Ballon d'Or. But I think, you know, we would have seen more titles, definitely, Premier Leagues. I think even the 2011 Champions League, we lost to Barcelona. I think with him in it, you know, we easily could have won. Granted, you know, that Barcelona team was amazing, but I think if you have Ronaldo in there, it's a different story completely. So yeah, I think if Ronaldo had stayed, would have seen a lot more success at United, and maybe it might have influenced Fergie's decision to retire because, you know, if he had stayed around longer, we all know the relationship Fergie has with Ronaldo. I think he might have even stayed on a few years longer, and yeah, it would have completely changed, I think, the outlook of United and the things that followed after Ronaldo's departure. And then piggybacking off that, you know, what if United did win that 2009 final, excuse me. I think, as I just mentioned, I think Ronaldo stays, and you really, you know, create just that pattern for success. And, you know, Bayern won it the following year. Barcelona weren't there again, Inter Milan beat Bayern in the final the following year. But I think that was a Champions League that was very much up for grabs. You know, possibly make a run on that. And then, you know, 2011 final, as I said, possibly, you know, might go and pit Barcelona for that. So, yeah, I think that would have completely, if we had won that 2009 final, I think Ronaldo would have stayed. I think, you know, that loss was the final nail in the coffin for him leaving. And, you know, when a bid that much came in, it's hard to say no, but I think if we had the title, back-to-back Champions League titles, I think Ronaldo would want to go for a third. And Fergie wouldn't be reluctant to really sell a star player then and do a bit of a rebuild up front. We'll go for a quick break and we'll come back. We'll get into more what ifs.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
So the next what if is a huge one, and that's what if Haaland had signed when Ole wanted him? Obviously they had that connection at Molde in Norway. So Solskjaer was well aware of him, and I believe, he mentioned about him when he was over there. Ultimately then went to Salzburg and then Dortmund. But yeah, I mean, if we had signed him, we know what he's doing in City over the years. A phenomenal player, just bagging goals left, right and centre. I think many people's, including mine's fantasy captain, you just leave him on there, he's always getting goals. But I mean, I don't think he'd have quite the same success at United. Granted, he had the likes of De Bruyne and Foden and Bernardo Silva. He had very creative players all around him. I think Pep's system suits him quite well. So I don't think we'd see quite the level of success, but I do think he'd still be, bagging in the goals completely for us. I think if Ole had got him, granted the relationship they had, I think might have even saved Ole's job with Haaland bagging in the goals. But maybe the Keane Alpha Inga Haaland incident a few years made him think, I don't want to go to United at all. But if we had him, I mean, geez, we wouldn't be, in half the mess up in attack that we were. And maybe you might see, an odd title in there, because we know the quality of player he's that player that can completely transform a team. And, recent years when we're struggling for goals, he'd be the missing link. So, it's a big what if we had signed Haaland and he never went to City. Obviously, I don't think they'd quite see the same level of success either, but they've been such a good team over the years that they'd still be up there. But I think Haaland would just give us that boost to where we might have seen some title challenges over the years and not the misery we've seen the last couple. The next what if is another big one. What if De Gea had left for Real Madrid? I believe the right paperwork was faxed too late and they didn't get it till about half an hour after the window closed, or even a couple of minutes even. If we had lost De Gea then, I mean, I don't know who we would have brought in, but we know what De Gea done over those years. I mean, that Arsenal performance under Mourinho, I mean, that's still the best goalkeeper performance I've ever seen. He really just won us that game. I believe it was at 3-2 or 3-1 it finished. With Lingard scoring. I remember Valencia scored one, and then Pogba got one too. But yeah, I mean, that performance sticks out. Another one was Spurs, even though I believe we lost the game, but he had like 12 saves or something. And, there's multiple incidents I can go through, the Everton save last minute. He really was just, pulling us up to top four when we should have been seventh. I think this is a huge one. If he had left, I mean, it really would have been much more disastrous. I think those years where we were scraping in the top four, I don't think we get those at all. I think we finished like seventh because he really was, saving us 9-10 points a season. It was huge. I think, if the paperwork had gone on time and he had left, I think it would have been disastrous for the club and would have hurt us so much more. Another big what if. And then this one under Ten Hag, what if he had got more of his Ajax players, De Jong and obviously De Ligt's here now, but De Ligt, instead of the likes, Anthony Van de Beek. I think that would have completely made the team gel so well what Ten Hag was trying to do. Obviously, those are the players he's familiar with. key pieces too, from that 2019 Champions League run where they should have got to the final if it wasn't for Lucas Moura. But yeah, if you have De Jong in the heart of that midfield, and a young De Ligt who was, captain Ajax on that run in the back line, you have a key centrepiece in the centre back line there and a key centrepiece right in the middle of midfield. I think that would have been, really season changing, and I could still honestly see that happening if Ten Hag, I think, would still be in the job. The first year or two Ten Hag came in, he'd done very well, and if he had those players, I think it would have even been better. I think even the first year when we were kind of fighting for that title, I think if we had those two then, it would have been great. And yeah, I think we might have even seen a title that year. And I think Ten Hag probably kept him there a bit longer. You never know if De Jong or De Ligt might want to leave after that, but another huge what if. Could have saved Ten Hag's job, no doubt. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. There was many more what ifs I could have went through, but kind of wanted to go through the ones I thought that really, really would have a huge impact on United's outlook in the recent years, and more modern ones that I'm sure more fans can resonate with. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to drop a like. We'll be back soon with another episode, and hopefully United can keep their momentum going and get the 4 in a row against Forest. So see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.